Podcast host Natalie Brunell. All right, Natalie, from 69,000 to 17,000, and now we're holding. I guess, for people who really believe and those who are on the edge, is the journey worth these sort of wild swings?
Hi, Charles. Nice to see you. Well, I certainly think so. Look, bear markets are painful in the short term, and I understand for people who started their journey in Bitcoin in the 40, 50, 60K range, this can be tough. Look, I got into Bitcoin in 2017. I wrote it up and I wrote it down. I wrote it in the COVID crash down to 3,800. But this is a long-term investment that you should not look at with a shorter time horizon than 5, 10 years, even more. And really, none of us have a crystal ball on these short-term price swings. But remember what they said in the 1990s? There were headlines that said that the internet was going to be a passing fad. It was never going to work. And I would rather have bought Bitcoin at 60K, wrote it down to 17K and held and seen it recover than wait, not buy at either of those prices, and then watch it go to 100K and start buying in, which I think is going to be the case for a lot of people.
So, of course, you're an evangelist. You believe in this. You have your podcast. People love the podcast. How much of it do you spend holding hands these days?
Well, look, I'm just trying to educate people on Bitcoin so they can decide how much they want to allocate to it. But really also it's about why Bitcoin exists, about money printing and the policies that I think have led to so much wealth disparity and people really just feeling left behind. And I relate to people because I was skeptical about Bitcoin once. I needed my hand held. I didn't understand how the technology network worked. And I, needed to read a ton of books and listen to podcasts. So now I want to help people because ultimately I believe we should be a nation of savers that produce economic value as opposed to just going further and further into debt. And I believe that Bitcoin is the internet of money. It's
interesting. Almost anytime you have a skeptic or non-believer and then they change their course and they do become believers, normally they're very powerful because they actually went through a thought process that required a rigorous thought progress that got them there. Now, here's the thing, though. You're getting a lot, well, not you particular, but, there's a tremendous amount of criticism coming out. Some people are dancing on the graves of crypto, but some are also calling maximalists frauds. And they're saying that, people with these podcasts like yourself have done a major disservice. What do you say to folks like that?
Well, I say they're wrong, and I say people who advocate for Bitcoin over crypto and understand the difference are actually doing a huge service to the community because we have seen a lot of scams with these other tokens, and we've seen crypto platforms that are facing major liquidity issues. They offered these attractive yields that were not sustainable or they weren't properly collateralized. And I think really Michael Saylor said it best this week. We have this $400 billion industry with thousands of unregistered securities that have been cross-collateralized with Bitcoin. And so we need regulation because Bitcoin unfortunately suffers when some of these other projects fail.
So I got less than a minute to go. In your mind, walk us through the script. What happens next? It seems like you're inviting regulations, and I don't blame you. By the way, the bad news, all this bad stuff that's happened, it is a learning lesson. It's a tough learning lesson. But now what happens that we make sure that some of these safeguards are put in and that Bitcoin can start to really live up to the potential?
Yeah, sure. So we just need more clarity. We already know Bitcoin is a digital property and digital commodity, but we do need fair accounting so more institutions come in. We need a stable coin that people can trust. And we need these tokens that are unregistered securities to be declared as such so that they have proper disclosures, proper filings. And I think all of that will happen. And I think all of it will be good for Bitcoin. And then on a macro picture, I think we have to watch what's going to happen with inflation. I think we might see a short-term bear market rally followed by some more pain. And ultimately, I think the Fed is going to have to pivot. And I really want to mention, Charles, before I go, people should really listen to what Putin just said about the global financial system, because he called out the U.S. for our money printing policies and asked why countries should exchange goods for dollars and euros when they're losing value so quickly because of inflation and money printing. And he's predicting a world that moves away from treasuries and sovereign debt. And that means, in my opinion, that Bitcoin is coming for bonds, and that's a way bigger market cap than gold.
By the way, there's a small story out there now how more emboldened the BRIC nations are. BRIC was big 10 years ago, kind of faded away, and now they're kind of feeling like they could take us down again. Natalie, thank you so much. That was